Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Small Time Tournament. I am Nacho Cheese.
And my name is Unctious.
And we are going into Game 4 of the series between Incoherence, the Blue Protoss, and Threnody, the Red Zerg. Threnody able to take the first two games pretty handily against Incoherence, and looks like he was going to go into a 3-0 sweep, but Incoherence able to battle back with a superior ground army on Shakur's Plateau and take Game 3. So we are now in Game 4. If Threnody wins this, he will be moving on to the semifinals. If Incoherence wins this, we will be moving on to Game 5 in this quarterfinals match, and that would be epic.
You know, that last push in the last game we saw was just absolutely unreal in that so little scouting was done. The only thing that Incoherence knew was that a few mutas were out and they were doing harassment, and that was enough for him to say, you know what, this guy probably doesn't have enough to hold me off right now. So he geared up and just pushed right across the map, got a forward pylon, didn't even need to use it, I don't think. I think he just pushed forward and took out our Zerg player. So right now we're seeing in the westmost position our red Zerg, Threnody, spawning as a red Zerg, and in the southmost position, our blue Protoss, Incoherence, who is trying to fight his way back to take the reverse sweep after losing 2 games in a row to our Zerg player.
Now, as I mentioned before, this is part of the Small Time Tournament, which is a casual tournament organized by our friend Zen. Is his StarCraft name. RabidBot is his Reddit name. Really just organized this tournament sort of out of the blue. We were expecting a very small turnout, maybe 10 or so players. We had 86 players sign up for this tournament, and we have been playing for more than 4 hours right now. Unctious and I have been casting since round 1. We are now in what would be round 4 of the quarterfinals. We have been having an excellent time, or at least I have. How about you, Unctious?
I've been loving every bit of this, eating up every game as they go by. I'm so excited to see who comes out on top, especially having viewed so many different players along the way. I can't wait. But on to the game. What's very interesting about these spawning positions is that they are close by air, which means that you might see some drop play potentially from our Zerg player Threnody, which he has exhibited he has some skill at. Whereas you might see some Stargate play from our Protoss player, and that would be very easy for him to just get right in there. Phoenix's and Void Rays would not have very far to go at all and make it right over here and take care of the queens that are going to pop up real soon. You see a spawning pool just coming up from Threnody, and a gateway and cybernetics core coming down. Very standard play from both players up to this point.
What is not standard is that Incoherence had a bit of a mishap there, forgot to put his workers into the simulator until just now. He should still have just enough gas to get his warp gate research started when this cybernetics core finishes, but he will not be able to get out that early stalker or a sentry or anything. That may put him just a little bit behind, not too much behind. You see, he's compensating by getting his second assimilator and wants to throw some guys in here, doesn't want to do the same mistake twice. Hopefully he will be able to get that up and running, be able to get that early gas, and start getting that advantage back. And now workers going into that assimilator.
A hatch coming down for Threnody, and he is going to poke up onto this ramp and see that there's no stalker or sentry out yet. In fact, our Protoss player is opting to take another Zealot, which is kind of going to mess with a build order that any standard build order that I can see. So it's just a little blunder, and he's going to be chrono boosting that Zealot out to try to take care of any pestering Zerglings on their way, pesterlings so to speak, and they will just stand right outside to try to get a fix on what's happening, as well as hopefully be able to see if those 2 more gateways have gone down like they have.
Now, speed just finishing for these pesterlings down here. The problem with this second Zealot is that he's standing right behind his best buddy, and both of them cannot be attacking at the same time if they're going to take advantage of this choke point that he has created with this ball. So that is 100 minerals that right now is not doing any work for Incoherence.
You know, if I were the Zerg player at this point, and I poked up and I saw 2 Zealots up there, I think that there was something cheesy going on. That gas that would be used for a couple of those sentries has to be being used for something. It's not. He's definitely just hoarding away almost 250 gas right now. But I would be very, very curious. And as you can see, that Overlord coming in to try to see exactly what's going on. I think the Zerg player knows that those two Zealots are not normal. But we do see the probe coming down and laying down a quick pylon that is not going to be canceled. That wasn't a cancel. That actually got destroyed. That's 100 minerals down the tube for Incoherence. It's going to set him back just a little bit.
So that Overlord, as you said, coming in here, if Threnody is playing at the top of this game and seeing just those two Zealots, definitely, as you said, going to be looking for that cheesy build. But he's walking in here and he's seeing what? 3 warp gates, a cybernetic score, now a couple sentries. He's going to be scratching his head going, what's going on? And little does he know it was a mishap or a misstep by his opponent and not some sort of clever play. But we will see if Incoherence can turn this around. Definitely do not want to count him out, especially after that surprising comeback victory last game. That was so very exciting to watch. People on the stream are loving Pesterlings. I think that's going to stick around in StarCraft terminology, Unctus. You heard it here first, though. Pesterlings.
Pesterlings, indeed. I'm glad that's going to be coined and used, but we do see layer tech coming up for a Zerg player. In fact, if I were him, I would be thinking that maybe there's some kind of proxy Stargate going on, but at the same time, he does see the Nexus going down, and he isn't getting pressured by anything at all. So it looks like he's just going to be trying to pressure a little bit with roaches and lings. Right now, drone production has stopped for a little bit, perhaps to try to take a third real soon. There are 300 minerals down. And this is just about the timing that we see a third go down. But an extractor coming up instead, and I'm not sure where this game is going to progress from here. There are 4 gates down. Forge, this is pretty much the same build that we just saw last game, except on a different map.
Definitely. So the weirdness going on here in the center, as this probe moved up to take the Zelnaya tower, and quickly threw down a pylon to protect itself from that Pesterling. That Ling was working hard to try and take down that pylon, was not able to. 12 hit points left on that pylon. This probe is saved by the heroic and, if I might add, quite handsome Zealot. And
it totally ignores the other Ling that runs right by him. You know what? I'm going to let that one go.
Yeah, I mean, those guys are friends. Hey, see you in a couple minutes. I'll kill your base. That'll be great.
I'll be right over. You guys just wait up for me. Don't worry about it.
And we're seeing a Nidus network go down for Threnody. You were mentioning drop play earlier. Drop play is incredibly powerful and a huge potential against this. Nidus play is the other potential. He is throwing down a Nidus worm here, but he's immediately spotted by a badly timed probe, badly timed for Threnody, that is brilliantly timed for Incoherence. He was able to spot that and take it out before it does any damage. Able to get a few shots off on that Overlord to say, hey, you back off, you have no right to be here. Threnody poking in with another Overlord over here. That's going to be taken out by the Stalkers being warped in. And of course another Overlord here checking at the high yield expansion, just making sure that no cheesy expansion is going to be going down. And look at this massive roach push coming from Threnody.
I would be very, very, very scared about this push. There are a lot of sentries down, and they will be able to cut that roach force in half. And I believe that probe was taking that was on that Zelmaga tower. Am I wrong?
I believe you are correct. I think our Protoss player did see that coming. We are seeing him build an extra cannon here as a bit of a response. And we have a pretty equally sized ground army here. This should, with proper micro, be able to hold off this roach pressure, but we will see here, he's pushing up with these roaches, these sentries not getting off any force fields, and wisely turning back, but now the force field's going off, catching just 1 or 2 roaches, Guardian Shield protecting the units from any extra damage, the roaches coming around. I'm not sure if Threnody is being very smart with all these pushing, and he agrees as he is pulling those roaches back after doing minimal damage. Resources lost about even. 725 resources lost for a Zerg player at Threnody, 650 for Incoherence, and not really a huge loss or win for either player on that push, but that's definitely going to bring this into more of a turtling defensive game, as we see Threnody throwing down his third, Incoherence should probably be throwing down his own third very soon, so that we can go into a macro late game.
It looks like Virtual Stacks is coming down again. He definitely wants to do some more drop play, which is very effective against a player like Incoherence, who just hasn't been getting any sort of cannons in his base. His entire main army is out in front of his natural. If a drop comes in, it's going to take a long time for them to squeeze through that little choke point. This Overlord checking to make sure that there are no cannons. And he will see that robotics facility. Something worth noting, but what it means for the Zerg player is that he has some time. There's not a robotics bay down yet, so he knows that Colossi production is not going to be out, and these Hydralisks are going to be able to handle any army that can be thrown at it right now. There's really no air army to worry about. These Hydralisks are just going to be strong. And this is the same kind of unit composition that we saw earlier in gameplay that Threnody could not hold up against, this Roach Hydra mix. And we are seeing a very, very small drop, just one drop going out, one Overlord going out, as all of the Protoss' forces are moving forward to try to stomp on our Zerg player like he did last game. Now pulling back.
Taking out that statue, he does not like Arcturus Mengsk, and to be honest, who does? And the Protoss player Incoherence pulling back his army. Not sure what he saw that he didn't like. Maybe he saw this high Roach and some Hydra count here. But he's pulling back his army, which means he will be in a closer position to handle this drop if he so chooses. These Hydras coming in here, starting to attack the assimilator, are going to start taking out some probes. Incoherence is going to have to respond to this. Not sure what we're seeing from him as a response. His army is completely immobile. Warping in units at the front here. Not really sure what Incoherence is thinking as he has just abandoned his main. Now the force coming in to try and save this. The Overlord getting the heck out of there, which means these Hydras are going to die. However, they have done a lot of damage to the workers, a lot of damage to the economy, not able to take out the Nexus, but they also are nicely timed to spot this robotics bay, so now he's got a good idea on the timing of Colossi when they start showing up. And now, once again, just like in Game 1 and Game 2, it looks like Threnody is going to be taking the lead in this game. Incoherence does have his third Nexus up, but there are no workers there. And if we look at the units tab, there are 43 drones for Threnody, only 38 for Incoherence, and most of those are at this way oversaturated natural base. He needs to move his probes back up to his main. He needs to get them back in the gas up here. He needs to move them over to his natural. And now we see a huge push coming from Threnody up the middle. Going to be checking this third base.
All these Roaches and Hydras are moving out, and all of them are spotted by our Protoss player who's moving forward, who's going to try to put up a defense. This is a massive Roach force. These Roaches are going to be able to do a lot. Blink's not up, so that can't do much. All of those Zealots are stuck behind their behind the Stalkers. Not a lot of Zealots are getting in there to do any damage. Sentry threw down some very nice force fields, blocking off half of the army. The Roaches and Hydras are going to have to retreat. There's not much that they can do there. That server is going to have a complete idea of exactly where his Zerg opponent is, and when to move out and when to hold back.
That was a good defense by Incoherence, able to completely shut down that push, even though Threnody had the superior forces. Oh, there's
a drop main. It was a bunch of Zerglings, and they all got swept up by these Zealots, but that was a great distraction. Although our Zerg player did lose a lot of units in that mix-up over at the third, he did move him. He made the Protoss move his entire army over to that third, leaving that main wide open for a drop play.
Would have absolutely loved to see a little bit stronger of a drop. Unfortunately, I did not catch it until those Zealots were standing proud over the carcasses of dead Pesterlings. However, Threnody was able to do some more damage there, batter that main a little bit more. Now, Incoherence feeling behind. He's got to be feeling behind, and he's got to be feeling that he has to win it with this push, pushing out with this very sizable ground army and one Colossus. Now, the Thermal Lance upgrade has not yet been finished, and now he's pulling these back. Not really sure what the point of this dance is here.
Well, that first time made a little bit of sense. He wanted to make sure that he could secure the third, which he did, but now I'm very concerned about this Roach Hydra army that's just sitting by the third. As soon as an attack comes, a Nidus Worm in the back of the Protoss player's base, Roaches coming out. He's going to push the third while all of these Roaches stream in, taking out the probes that were there, the very few probes that were left. Now he's focusing down these assimilators. I would definitely be going for some of those production facilities, maybe getting some of those pylons. This massive force over that was left behind, getting force fielded in, getting taken out entirely. All these roaches and hydras will go down, and the Colossus will still clean everything up very nice. However, these roaches
is alone back here at the main against these 4 roaches. Some good micro will take him out of range, but these roaches doing way more damage than they should have been. That zealot getting a lot of damage on it before it can really do anything, but now he'll be cleaning this up. But again, that is a huge attack for the Zerg player. However, because his main force is taken out, we see that Incoherence is actually ahead in the units lost tab. 7,800 resources worth of units lost for the Zerg player compared to just under 6,000 for the Protoss player. He does have a slight drone advantage. He does now have his 4th base up, but he doesn't have any workers on it. This is a much more interesting game than it looked like it was going to be at several points. We are now seeing another push from Threnody, as he is able to, again, macro out a nice army very quickly. However, he does not have that supply advantage over Incoherence, as Incoherence has really been able to keep his ground army completely intact in every engagement. The only thing that's really been hurting him has been these drops in Nidus Worms. Speaking of Nidus Worms, this Nidus Worm is still completely okay in the back of the main. However, Incoherence able to catch Threnody off guard there, get his army completely out of position and demolish that. Now these Corruptor is going to be taking down all the Colossi. That will do some damage to the Protoss army, but still, that is a huge victory for Incoherence.
Now, right now, it looks like Incoherence is not mining out of all of his assimilators right now. He is not on all of his assimilators. He only has 1 robotics facility up, so he's only able to get 1 Colossus at a time. And that's going to be very detrimental, but we have this big Protoss army moving in. Blink has just finished. Every time he moves in, he's forcing his opponent to start producing lings and producing roaches instead of being able to max up. These stalkers will be able to take out at least one of those one of those units. Now moving forward into the 3rd of our Zerg player, and no corruptors in sight because they're not needed, but these roaches and hydras are trying to push from the back. Force field blocking off all units that can get up that ramp. Now moving into the 3rd, going to be able to deny this 3rd while all drones are pulled. Now moving to the 4th to be able to mine over there, but that 3rd will be taken out rather quickly. In the meantime, it looks like that gold base is up, or it's coming up right now.
Incoherence did lose a lot of his units as he was running past towards this 3rd. He took a lot of damage on them, so a lot of units lost before he was able to force field that. And now we're seeing Threnody just use his macro ability, use his superior income to just be able to throw lots and lots and lots of units at this army of Incoherence. He'll be able to protect his 4th, which I don't believe is hidden any longer. No, he saw the creep there, though he did not see the actual hatchery. Incoherence has to know that 4th base is up. I don't think he knows. He does know about this 5th base at the gold expansion. Incoherence in a surprisingly okay position. Can be pushing forward with a lot of Blink Stalkers and 1 Colossus with that range upgrade finished. Going to be shutting down gold expansion, saying, hey, you can't do that risky play against me. I'm Incoherence.
And he is indeed Incoherence. We didn't see exemplary Blink Micro, but he is putting himself in a position where units can flank him from both sides. We don't see any more streaming in, but all of these Hydras will go down. This Colossus, now with extended thermal land, is going ahead and just sweeping up everything here. The Corruptors are coming in, going to be able to take out, hopefully, going to be taking out that Colossus.
It's going to be
One
close.
Corruptor goes down, the Colossus does go down. And they're going to try to get out of there, but all the Corruptors will go down as well. It looks like Threnody is trying to take another base. He's trying to replace the one that he lost, and he needs to get those up because he can no longer sit in a position and just trade armies. He's not at that point. But now the Stalkers are still moving forward, and a small Stalker force and a Colossus now coming to reinforce. He's going to try to take out this 4th base, which he might be able to do. I mean, I would really like to see our Zerg player use this Nidus Worm that's in the back of Protoss player's base. Protoss blinking forward to take some of those drones out, grabbing that ramp, all of these drones are moving towards the next base to try to continue mining, but these stalkers are just in a great position to clean them up immediately after. And if this gets taken out, our Zerg player will not really be mining anywhere. His natural is on its last legs, and it does look like these stalkers are going to be able to take out this base.
This is not looking very good for our Zerg opponent, and Incoherence, playing on the defensive this whole game, is just all of a sudden able to sweep forward, and this army has honestly died 3 or 4 times, but he has been able to reinforce with waves of zealots and stalkers, and a Colossus coming across the field now, wiping up that 5th expansion, and now we see long-range mining coming from this 3rd. Threnody is on his last legs right now. I'm not sure he's going to be able to come back. As we saw in Game 1 and Game 2, and in most of Game 3, Threnody had a huge food advantage, but look now, 35 food advantage for the Protoss player, and that is incredibly significant, as most of that is in his army. They are an equal worker count, so that food advantage is not being inflated by an increased worker count, and now Incoherence pulling his army back, going to be mustering up for one final push, I would imagine.
And in the meantime, he has gotten a 4th base, now up and mining. No gas geysers down, but it doesn't look like he's going to need it with his massive army out. All of those stalkers and zealots doing a funky little dance right around that Zamaga tower, getting ready to move out. And I think what you can really base this on is because of that constant stalker zealot pressure, pushing forward and pulling back, our Zerg player was unable to make that many drones. He kept having to make an army to try to worry about that constant pressure that never actually came. It never actually came. They just dancing back and forth. Now, that split on the Roaches and Hydras means that half of them are going to be taken out. You just rush them right back in. You didn't try to save them. The charge lots are out. Going to be able to move forward, take out all these Roaches, take out the Hydras.
And there is GG from Threnody. So Incoherence coming back to tie this series at 2 games each. We will be moving into our ace match, as this is getting very late. Very, very exciting series between Threnody and Incoherence, putting forward some very, very strong play. We will be back in just a few moments for Game 5. Until then, I am Nacho Cheese.
And I am Unctuous.
And we will see you guys for Game 5.